$10,000 to like record something with. They didn't even show up. It was just me doing a whiteboard with with guest speaker. It was like recording.
Yeah.
This is when I didn't know. I just knew I was having internet problems, but I didn't really understand that I had 20% packet loss. So they put together the final product. They're like, "What do you think?" I'm like, "We need to re-record." Like I'm like Mad Max, like in this video, and they're like, "Yeah, we can't do that, or else it'll be another 10 grand." It's like, oh,
that sucks.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Hello, my friends.
Thank you for joining us for the PEBCAK Podcast, a weekly information security show featuring some all-around good people. It is week 23 of 2024. I'm Chris Louie, and still COVID-free. We're having crazy weather here in NorCal, so I wouldn't be surprised if I catch a cold. With me, I have my co-host, the Cloud God, broadcasting from the Great North.
Yes, I actually from the Great North came home a day early, but I was in Milwaukee, and I got to tell you guys about this hotel that I stayed at. So I get in, and I am confused. Like, it is way too nice to be something that Z-Surf booked for me. It was called The Trade. It must have been on sale. But anyways, really,
red flag number one.
Yeah. But I get in, the lady's like super nice, and she's like, "Have you been here before?" I was like, "No." She's like, "Do you understand how we got her name?" Yeah, "No, because I haven't been here before." Are you listening? And she's like, "Well, it's called The Trade." She's called The Trade because we like to celebrate people in the trade, like electricians and woodworkers, like you name it, right? Whatever, even horse people. And I was like, "Oh, that's cool." So she's like, "I'm gonna give you this little coin. And you take this, and every day at 5 o'clock, if you go over here to the bar area, we salute homage to the tradesmen of the world." And I was like, "Oh, that's actually pretty dope." And we give you like a free beer with the coin. And I was like, "Oh, it's reminiscent of like how you get like a free beer if you take in your your AA chip." But I digress. So she's like, "All right, you guys
the YMCA. Was it like the YMCA or something like that? You get the cop, the woodworker, the
construction worker, the Indian.
So then she's like, "Oh, we got you on the 7th floor." I was like, "Oh, sweet." There's only 9 floors. And then she's like, "You know what? I'm gonna put you on the 4th floor." I was like, "All right, what does that mean?" And she's like, "Well, this is where we put all the basketball players." So this hotel is like right across the street from Fiserv Forum, and so this is the hotel that the basketball players.
Oh, the Bucks. Is it the Bucks,
yeah, the Bucks.
Or the Mavs, depending where they're at?
It's the Bucks. The Mavs are in Dallas. But anyways,
I know, but they're playing them right now. So if it's an away game, then the Mavs might be staying there.
No, they're not playing them anymore, are they?
Are the Bucks? The Bucks aren't even in it. The Bucks are out.
No, it's
Oh, the Wolves. You're right.
Yeah, T-Wolves, baby. All right. So I was like, "Oh, okay." I was like, "That's." She's like, "Well, you're a tall person, so you'll enjoy it." I was like, "All right, I don't know what that means." So
what does that
first
mean?
stop is the 3rd floor. Go check out the gym. I'm like, I walk over there, look at it. I was like, "All right, got it." And then 4th floor. As soon as you get off, like everything's different. Number one, like all the ceilings are so much taller.
A little bit taller.
Like, yeah, and then they have like an ice machine and water. So if you had like filtered water like right there by the elevator, so if you had like a Stanley cup, you fill it up. I was like, "Oh, all right, I smell what she's cooking." I get to my room and everything is giant. The bed is like off the floor, like it is whatever. Like everything in there is super sized. The table, the lights, everything's crazy. And then I go over there. I was like, "Man, you know what I gotta do? I gotta drop the kids off at the pool."
Where your
like,
feet hanging off the toilet?
Bro, I was like you, just dangling my little feet. I'm just kidding. They weren't, but it was the most comfortable toilet, the throne that I've ever sat on. But probably the most astounding feature, and then like the sink was like up high, so like I'm not like to reach down. It's just like right there, so convenient.
Yeah. And
then I jump in and take a shower, and then I look up. I'm like, "Holy crap! I don't think I can actually touch the
shower head.
Shower head is like so far up. So my reach is like 8 feet, right? And on my tippy toes, I can actually touch it. Like it was so far up there. It was wild. But anyways, it was cool. The only thing I didn't like is that I think they had pillows for giants. Like the pillows were so uncomfortable. Like my little head just couldn't fit on there. So, anyways, The Trade. Go check it out next time you're in Milwaukee. It's a good place, and had a restaurant on the very top floor too.
All right, we'll try and get a sponsorship then.
Yeah.
All right, and we have Glenn Medina, or she call him Welcome Back, Glenn, or WBG. Glad to have you back.
Thank you very much, sir. Sorry about the absence last week. Was taking care of some family business, and good to be back. Happy to be back in the fold with you guys, just chatting it up about all good things that are happening on the net.
That's how we do it. Good to have you back, man. I missed you.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
You look like you got 10% more handsome. Good job, man. I don't know how you do it. You Asians.
I don't know how that happened, but yeah, I appreciate that.
It's finer with age, just like wine.
It's good not to have Russian Victor on the podcast. As much as I like him, you know, that guy.
Victor.
He roots for the wrong team.
No, yes, this week, as we are recording quite late in the evening. Combined, we have decades of information security experience here, not just to educate, but to entertain. We've got 4 awesome stories for this week, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. This week, we're going to talk about a new spy feature for Android, a new spy feature for Copilot. For our third topic, another perimeter network device gets hacked, and close with state of the economy.
Ugh.
For our first topic, this will be our creepy privacy story of the week. Android users rejoice. Your Android Pixel phone will begin listening to your phone conversations. The next version of Android is getting scam and fraud protection, where your phone will listen in on an active phone conversation, and it can warn you about possible scams. For example, if someone is asking you to send them gift cards to avoid a jury duty arrest, the phone can alert you that this is a scam. If someone calls you impersonating your bank and asks you to send money to another account, you can be alerted of that too. This is a really great feature, but I would caution turning it on unless it's guaranteed to be on-device processing and nothing, not even metadata, is sent up to the cloud.
If you're not paying for it, you're the product. I guarantee you something is going to the cloud.
Probably, unless they're employed just to sell more Pixel phones.
There's no money in hardware, right?
It's all in the SaaS.
Software. It's
all the SaaS and the data.
Yeah. SaaS.
What do they do? Just have 1 million recordings of people getting owned, and they can AI that conversation and that script?
So we didn't talk about it last week because it came in at the last minute. But take my father-in-law for example. Like, he almost gave $2,000 to some dude selling Space Coin, and the evidence was he told him, "Hey, my name is Joe Schmo. Ignore the fact on the wire transfer has my other name along with another bank." Like, he just
the money mule.
Yeah, the money mule.
I gotta ask, what accent did that come in on? Could he tell that it was like Joe American?
You know what?
Hi, my name
it was
is
a pretty
Bob.
convincing story. I'm going to talk to him this weekend. We're going to be hanging out, so I'm going to try to figure out exactly what's going on. Should be interesting.
You should ask for his permission to record the conversation, and we can do a bonus pod on it.
There you go.
How about I talk to him and I conference you in, and then you could just pretend to be the Pixel AI listening in, how you qualify.
Warning, this is a scam.
I mean, can it just hang up for you? What's it really going to do?
Yeah.
But once again, this is why Android sucks. Their screens break way too easy, and they take crappy photos.
And you notice, like, no one talked about Android because none of us have one, and we really I don't think any of us care, do we? I mean, it's a great feature. Probably take 3 more years before it shows up on Apple.
Can you imagine that?
I know Apple is doing a lot of on-device processing. And remember that story we did maybe 2 years ago? It was about Apple client-side CSAM detection, and that was 100% client-side. So nothing would get sent up to the cloud unless it found something suspicious. And I think things like visual voicemail, like the real-time transcription of voicemail, that happens on-device. So there are some AI neural engine cores on the device. So I think Apple has the capability of doing it, and I trust Apple with my privacy more than Google. So we'll see if Apple ever imports this feature.
I mean,
are you sure that happens on device? Doesn't happen in the cloud?
The CSAM stuff definitely happens on device.
Depending on, I'm talking about the voicemail, text to voice, right, or voice to text. I thought that was like dependent on carrier as well.
that one's actually on device. It's like when somebody calls you and you hit the button, send a voicemail, and it shows a real-time transcript of what they're saying. That's 100% on device.
Oh, okay.
That's why you have to have like a minimum version of iOS and a minimum version of the phone before that feature will work. It has to have the right neural engine core to do it.
Oh, you guys know that I switched from Verizon to T-Mobile and saved myself a gajillion dollars, right? It's just crazy. But,
how would we know that? This is the first time we're hearing of it, Glenn.
Really? I thought I told you guys like a while back.
You did not.
It's been a couple months now.
Speaking of T-Mobile, those I'll insert choice word of insult here. They raised my plan $5 a month for no reason.
Ooh. But it's not even your plan, it's your father's plan, so stop complaining.
To their credit, and what they said is, even though we're charging you $5 more a month, we're still way cheaper than the other guys. And like, yeah, you actually have a point there. You are way cheaper than the other guys.
Yeah. Well, I guess what I'm trying to say is my voicemail is different than it was with Verizon. So now, if I get a voicemail, I get a text with the transcription of the voicemail itself, and that was not an option that I had with Verizon.
I think you're doing like old school voicemail on T-Mobile. You're not using the visual or the visual voicemail.
Yeah, the visual voicemail on the iPhone. Apple. That's been around for 15 years.
No, I had that. I still have it.
Glenn's like, no, you don't understand. I call *611 and I put in my 4-digit code, and it plays back my voicemail.
Hey, be nice.
Remember that when you had to call yourself a while ago? You would have to call your own phone number from your own phone, and that's the way to access voicemail.
See, now you're making me look up. Now you're making me look up that setting. I don't know where that setting is. I'd have to go find it. So
let's set up voicemail. Yeah, just click on voicemail on your little doodad there. It'd be good. All I know is it's about time, man. These phones are 1,000 times more powerful than what we use to send people to the moon, and
millions, billions,
porn, and Glenn's just looking for cheap car parts. It's about time we start doing some cool stuff with it.
I can tell you this phone is way better than my first. Was it 64K memory computer that I was playing Police Quest on, where I had to change the discs out every 5 minutes because I was entering a different screen or a different part of the world according to Police Quest. So you remember those days?
Oh yeah. I remember circumventing DRM with this piece of tape on a 3.5-inch floppy.
All right, the electrical tape over the copy protection port.
Yeah. It's like, wow, you guys really thought this one through.
Yeah.
That was before the internet. That got around real quick.
Yeah, Sony had the DRM that you could defeat by using a black Sharpie over the edge of the CD.
That was so stupid.
I will give Sony some credit, though. When it came to PlayStation games, there was no way of copying that game from disc to disc, making a copy. At least not that I was aware of back in the day.
Oh, I know plenty of ways to do that for the PlayStation.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
For a PS2, you were able to do it?
Yep, PS1, PS2. I didn't do PS3 because those were...
Not in the last, 3 years, but I'm talking, prime time, that was the only console. You were making copies.
Yeah. Backups, not copies, Brian. Backups.
Oh, this guy's going to jail. Watch out.
Legitimate backups.
It's his disc. He can do whatever he wants with it. What are you talking about, Brian?
Yeah.
Alright, so maybe you could have made a copy, but you had to modify the PS2. You had to solder something on in there for it to be able to read the burned copy.
So there was actually a cool workaround to that. There was a special case you could buy, Brian, because remember the PS2 had the CD tray that was on the motor that would pop out and pop in, just like your computer CD-ROM drive. So somebody came up with a special case for it where the top of the PS2 would flip up so you can swap the disc without ejecting the drive. So you'd put this boot disc in that had legitimate DRM on it, spin it up to a boot menu, then you flip the top open, swap the disc, put your backup in, and then it was basically a bootloader and would load it without the DRM checks.
Oh, look at that.
But the fact is that you'd have to have the original disc though, right? In order to start that, or you could put any disc to bootload.
It was a special bootloader disc.
Okay.
And that had the legitimate DRM on it. But you only need that one disc, and then you could put any backup game you want in it.
Mm.
The that I think was more challenging was the GameCube. If you remember the Nintendo GameCube, it used those mini CDs. So first of all, that was already a barrier, getting the mini DVDs. And then they wrote the disc backwards. So I think they started on the outer rim and they worked their way in. So there was a trick to it. Like, again, not impossible to do, but it made it, they tried to make it more difficult to play backups on the GameCube.
I did not know that. I don't even think I ever even owned a GameCube. I did buy a Dreamcast, and then I was like, man, they're going to get owned by Sony. And then I think I just went back and traded it in, or at least returned it. Yeah.
Who did Dreamcast? Was that Nintendo? No.
Sega.
No. Oh, Sega. That's where they got Sonic the Hedgehog from, right? Sega.
Yeah. So the Dreamcast was the last Sega console. They said this thing was a flop. We're exiting the console business. We're only going to make games now.
They had a couple cool games. I remember returning it thinking, I don't know if I made the right decision, but I did it anyways. But I can't remember the game. Something. It's like a volleyball game. It was wild. I enjoyed it.
Are you talking about DOA beach volleyball?
I have no idea. We'll have to look it up. Get back to you.
This one will have to definitely get removed from the podcast, but Dead or Alive beach volleyball, like the one thing that it did well was...
No wonder you like that game.
That's why Brian liked that volleyball game. It's, quote, that volleyball game.
Yeah, see how we morphed from Android to
Maybe it was that, yeah.
Just shows you how interesting Android devices are. They're not, and that's why Vic is the only one that has it.
Yeah. Well, I know iPhone just came out with I think it's RetroArch, the old school game emulator on the iPhone. So I will definitely be checking that one out.
Well, I haven't done any of the emulation stuff in quite some time.
I know Brian's wheels are moving. I can see it moving right now. He's like, if I can find that volleyball game again, then I can play it on my iPhone wherever I go.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Right. For our second topic, going with our theme of AI spying on you, Microsoft announced a feature called Recall with its new Windows laptops with AI chips built in. Recall is a new AI-powered feature for Copilot Plus PCs that will allow Windows 11 users to search and retrieve their past activities on their PC. How does Recall work, you ask? Well, Microsoft has the genius idea of taking a screenshot of your computer every minute or so users can go back and figure out what they did or ask Copilot some questions. Microsoft promises encryption and local storage only, but this also raises major privacy concerns.
Sure, no one's going to be able to see this. I promise you. Nope.
Every cheating spouse is going to get busted when this rolls out, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah. More of a reason to not be on Windows.
It's like, hey, Cortana, where was my husband last Tuesday?
Yeah. Right. Well, he's on the computer, but he's chatting with, bad bougie bunny. I have no idea. That's probably that guy that makes shoes. What's funny about this is, like, before I sat down to record the podcast, I had written down the recall stuff. I was like, no, we already talked about this last week. And then we get into the second topic. I'm like, what the hell? Am I on crack? I don't understand why I was thinking about this already. I must have used recall. But I was talking to my son about it at lunch or at dinner. And I was telling him about it. He's like, man, the first thing I did when I upgraded to Windows 11 is when it asked me if I wanted to use Copilot. I was like, disable. And I was like, smart boy. I like it.
Raise him right, Brian.
How do you know not
literally raise
chatting
him right?
With, how do you know not chatting with Budette instead of Bunny?
Yeah, right. Dude, I also heard. I think it was on another podcast I was listening to. There's interviewing of guys, and they're just basically like, they work for, I don't know, maybe OnlyFans or something like that. But they're hired by the women, and they leverage AI to, like, when you're talking to these women, you're not actually talking to women. You're actually kind of talking to the dude, but in proxy of AI.
To a bot.
So you have no idea. So they just encode bots in there, but really highly intelligent ones that you can't tell the difference.
That was like the AOL chat rooms, right? They had the
Yeah.
police had bots inside there as well.
But
Looking
these
for
guys are making
pedophiles.
like this
Yeah.
one dude. He's saying like he's making like on a good his best month, and he said it was during COVID. It was like 100K. Is what he
Yeah,
Doing-
I believe it.
Doing
a lot
fake...
of lonely guys out there during
Yeah.
COVID.
Wait, hold on. Was he doing OnlyFans for ladies based on the guy, or he was acting like a girl? He was actually catfishing people on OnlyFans.
No, I think he was
OnlyFans.
hired by somebody with a lot of followers, and then
Like they subcontract that work out because, like,
Yeah.
I guess there's some tier that says for this price, I'll actually live chat with you, and then you're just chatting with a dude or you're chatting with an AI bot, but you think you're talking with the girl.
which I would think you'd
Poor
be
guy.
so dumb, right? Like so you're chatting, you're like, but it's 2024. We can do this thing on video, right? Like I would think that you'd be like you wanted to have like, hey, hold up a piece of paper that says this is legit. I think that.
But that costs
a
more,
lot of-
Brian. You
Yeah,
want
but
that,
I
you
think
got to pay for that. You pay
Exactly.
for
I
access.
think these guys are dumb. That's what I think.
Yeah. Either that, or they're cheap like Chris, right? So it's like I'll only see.
You only
Wait,
pay for the
talk to you.
basic tier, so you get
Yeah.
the pictures and videos that everybody else gets.
Yeah.
That's wild. But hey,
That's when you put the prompt that says, "Hey, if you're ChatGPT, print F this statement," and then you see if it prints it or not.
I'm gonna try that right now. Just kidding.
Yeah, the interesting thing about this is even if Microsoft holds true, it's encrypted, it's local only. But let's say I pop a shell in your box and I get remote access to your box and I find some way to replay it. The interesting part of this is from the threat actor angle that says I need to mimic somebody during their workday. Well, what do they do during their workday? Well, they know that I roll out of bed at 8 o'clock. They know I log in at 9 o'clock. They know I pretend to be on Zoom from 10 to 11. So they could actually figure out what you do. And that's where the whole user behavioral analysis comes in, because I remember reading stories of how do they uncover these, quote, influence campaigns. Well, they know that this website that's popular in Iran, well, people only post on it between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. during U.S. hours. Well, that's highly suspicious because that's not working hours in Iran. That we know that's a Pentagon influence campaign. But if people can play back and realize that, oh, I should be working these hours because that's when this person logs on, now they have this additional information to try to trick the behavioral analysis engines.
Well, just wait until. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, please, Brian.
I can say just wait until this is like your Windows 11 corporate laptop, and you're complaining about something sucking, and they're like, "Well, let's just go back and replay what you're doing." You're like, "Ah, man, busted on pinball again."
But if you own the device, you own the device. It doesn't matter what encryption you have on there, right? So you're going to be totally able to bypass encryption just by being able to own the device. Period.
Pretty
In
much.
theory, aren't we just kind of renting Windows? Like you don't actually own it; you own the ability to use it, and they can take it away at any point in time.
I think so. I think they changed their use at some point when it became free, or quote free. Like you got a quote free upgrade to Windows 10 from 7. You got a quote free upgrade from 10 to 11.
So there's no cost for a license from Microsoft anymore?
I think if you build your own PC, you have to buy an OEM license. But if you buy a PC, like if you had bought a PC that had like Windows 7 pre-installed, you got the free upgrade to 10, and then you also got the free upgrade to 11. Let's say we passes all the
Speaking
hardware
of which,
checks.
What?
do you get free server?
$14? Oh. On
That's
Groupon-
home edition, though. That's home
Groupon,
edition,
you can
though.
get Windows Pro 11.
There's a Groupon for Windows Pro.
Yeah, for $14, right? You know that's a
I believe
scam.
Groupon's still
You can
around.
get them on eBay for like $5. What are you talking about?
Oh, I'm sure. To get an actual, probably legit copy, it says here Windows Home 11, $139. Windows 11 Pro, $199. So $200. I mean, that's, let's talk about cost inflation. I think that's what I paid for Windows 95 back in the day. It hasn't gone up. It's a bargain.
$199. Yeah.
How much do you think Windows 95, or even we'll say Windows XP because that was like the next game changer.
I'm gonna say $129 in $2,000 to the year $2,000.
Yeah. Either that or $89. I thought it was, right? $89, $90.
Home Edition for Windows XP was a $99 upgrade. Full version $199. I don't even remember a home versus professional. Maybe no, it was Windows XP Pro. Windows XP Pro $199 for an upgrade, $299 for the full version. So it's actually come down. Microsoft doesn't believe in inflation. You know what? These guys aren't so bad.
Deflation.
Neither does Costco. Costco hot dogs are still $1.50.
I'm telling you, man. That's a bargain of a lifetime right there. You get that and the chicken.
Yeah.
Have you guys tried the cookie yet?
Yeah, it's maddening fatness, dude.
The
Is it
cookie?
good though?
Yeah. I tell you, my wife went to go buy a raw whole chicken, because she wanted a bacon chicken, and it was basically $12. And so she ended up buying the rotisserie chicken because it was only
For $5.
Yeah, $5. And she's like, "This is stupid. It's already cooked."
It's already cooked. Yeah, it's no brainer.
Did the uncooked chicken come with the head?
No, but I'm sure it came with the innard parts. So the gizzard, the neck. Yeah. But she ended up just stuffing it with her stuffing and then recooked it for about another 15 minutes. So it's actually
That's
not that
gonna
bad.
be dry at all.
Dude, any and every one of my kids, I've been doing this for years before it was like a thing, but I've always had them help me with the turkey. We always cook like 2 to 3 turkeys on Thanksgiving. And every time they pull out the neck, I'm like, "Oh, that's his penis." They're like, "Ah," freaking out. They drop it.
Nice.
You should put the gizzard and the penis together, or the heart and the penis together. But here's the tip.
Jeez. Well, you had to edit that part out. Prom night
Or we'll leave
promises.
it in.
Just the tip. Thanks for
Lots of
changing my name
editing.
to Turkey penis.
Lots of editing. Oh, Chris, you've got a job for you.
Oh,
this
yeah.
week.
For our third topic, yet another perimeter network device is getting compromised, and Check Point is reporting their firewalls have been under attack since April 30th, stealing Active Directory data needed to move laterally through a victim's network in successful attacks. Checkpoint warned customers on Monday that attackers are targeting their security gateways using old VPN local accounts with insecure password-only authentication. So again, we're running into this problem of single-factor authentication on a network border device. Checkpoint did release a hotfix for this issue, and after applying the hotfix, all login attempts using weak credentials and authentication methods will be blocked automatically and logged. Now, what do you think of hotfixing and patching every network border device that says all this hotfix does is disables authentication for single-factor authentication accounts? Is that really a fix?
Sounds like more of a workaround. Was this in the management interface, or is this just like...
No, this is a service interface. These are old VPN accounts that they're valid accounts, but they're only single-factor.
Oh, I mean, part of that's it's a you problem, right?
It is.
Wasn't there? I don't know if it's true or not. Wasn't there an urban legend that Checkpoint had left backdoors? Are these the accounts for these backdoors that they had a long time ago for these government devices that they had installed like quite some time ago?
I don't know if it was
Do you know the
Checkpoint. I
connection?
know Juniper did, and they found these Juniper backdoors during routine code reviews, and they think those were planted by the NSA.
Yeah, is that the one that was like, don't edit anything below this line because we don't know what it
Yeah.
does anymore?
Yeah.
That's
It ended up
fascinating
being an
one.
NSA backdoor.
Yeah. I mean, I really have no beef with Checkpoint, and I think it's maybe is I just don't perceive them as... I guess there's two reasons. One, I don't perceive them to even be anywhere in the space that I compete with. I don't know of anyone I've ever talked to that uses Checkpoint for VPN. And the other one is they actually have a pretty good blog. Some of the content that they put out there is actually pretty solid. I don't know if you guys have ever looked at their stuff, but there's one guy in particular that when it comes to cryptography, he is the man.
Yeah, they do put
I
out good
think I know
security
it.
research.
I think I know who you're talking about, Brian.
Really?
Yeah. I think I may have met him.
No kidding.
It's like you met
I'm
John
looking for
McAfee.
Yeah.
Glenn's like well traveled and meeting all these, rubbing elbows with all these celebrities.
His name was Ben. Ben.
Oh, a Ben from
Ben
Israel. How original.
No, Ben Herzog. Herzog. The dude, like, he wrote an article on. Let's see if it's still up here. Yeah, it was just like how on cryptographic attacks, right? He just went into like how it started, how it evolved, and how people thought. And I remember going through here, and I was like, "This is insane." And then he said he was going to have a secondary follow-up article to it, and it never got published. It was really sad. Ben, if you're listening, publish this shit.
Maybe the NSA got to him and says, "Hey, you can't publish part 2."
Yeah, I guess this was the research, but yeah. Here you go. I'll put it. I thought it was a great written article.
Go find him on LinkedIn. Message him. See if he'll do a follow up or come on the podcast.
All right, we can do that. As I just dog him for having no security type of VPN that no one uses.
Maybe he can clarify himself.
It's an interesting take. I mean, that's part of fixing the symptom, not curing the disease. That single factor authentication on a border network device is, in general, a really bad idea. But I guess you could say it's better than nothing. Having a patch that disables these accounts, even if they're valid, it's going to disable it unless you have multi-factor authentication turned on. And personally, I thought this was the dream that CSPM was supposed to solve, because they would say, we'd scan your infrastructure, we'll scan your devices and find out all admin level accounts or all accounts that lack MFA, and things like this should be setting off alarms left and right.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. You should be doing MFA. But we even saw, though, like with Palo Alto, even with MFA, like, sometimes there's just CVEs that are so bad, they're going to come in, even if you're doing the MFA stuff.
Right. You'll steal cookie data within the telemetry data and bypass MFA that way.
Yeah.
But if it's a lab environment, who cares?
Did I ever tell you I found one in Blue Coat when I was at their training facility back in the day?
What's that? A lab
Enlighten
environment?
us, Brian.
It was for the administrative interface, and it was like a no-auth, like exploit. So there was some type of reporting URL that I was going to, and I was like, oh, this is cool. I can get there without authenticating. And then I was like, wait a second, I can get there without authenticating. And then I showed the teacher, and he's like, oh no, you're signed into another tab. I'm like, no, bro, I think I was like working in Firefox for this particular thing, but I had been working so exclusively in Internet Explorer. And when I showed him that, he's like, huh, this isn't good. And so we sat down and filled out like a bug or something
bounty.
like that. Yeah.
Did you get paid on that, Brian?
I did not get paid. That was probably the worst time of my life, because I had no money. I got sent to training, but when I say I have no money, like when I picked up the rental car, they had double charged me like $1,000 total, and it was like all the money I had in the world. And so then I was like, how the hell am I going to eat this week? Like, I have nothing. So I found a convenience store at like 11:30 at night, and I just went and bought like a bunch of just random stuff in there. That way I had food, because I was broke. Like after that charge went through, I had zero money to get me through the week. So I was walking everywhere. I could barely and I think I also checked into the hotel. So now I had like the rental car and the hotel like on the hold, and I had no money. And like I remember calling the administrative assistant. I was like, yeah. I was like, I thought this was prepaid. She's like, no, but just expensive. It's like, oh, okay, great, I can do that. I'm like, Daddy's not eating this week. So.
And look at you now, Mr. Pool Chiller.
I don't know.
You get hard times, right?
Upgrade.
Started from the bottom, now we here.
Yep, it's the truth. Dude, I'm not gonna lie. I actually called my wife that night, and I was crying. I was like, dude, I was so sad. She's just like, it's gonna be okay, we'll be fine. I was like, no, you don't understand. Like, it's like that's all. Like, I didn't even have a credit card at that point in my life. I was like, excuse me. I called her, and it's like, we're screwed. But thank God, I think right before I left, we had done some grocery shopping, so I knew that she was taken care of, so the kids. But man, that week I ate
Just because they have to pre-charge your account and hold it and lock your credit card.
Well, yeah, like I probably only had like $1,200 in my name. They took it all between the hotel and the rental car. It was gone.
Yeah, especially
everything
double charge.
On Monday morning was like I went. I was like, I think I'll try to pick up a soda, see if it works. He's like, declined. I was like, yeah, I don't know what's wrong with this car. I'll be right back. And I was left. It's so pathetic.
We've all been there, Brian. Don't worry.
Audience is why we use credit cards for things like hotel and rental cars, just because you can at least hold the credit for that period, the week or so, whatever you need it. And the debit, they deduct it right away.
Oh yeah, it was definitely there was no credit card. That was my debit card.
Yeah.
And now Mr. Amex Triple Platinum Centurion Club. Look how far you've come.
No kidding.
Oh, that just means nothing, guys.
For our last topic, it'll be a rotating topic every week. This week, we're going to talk about the state of the U.S. economy. I was talking with my wife about people who were recently laid off from her work and how their perception is that the economy is in the toilet and there are just no jobs out there. But objectively, the economy is doing well and expanding every quarter instead of contracting. Unemployment is at a 50-year low, so why do people still feel like the economy is awful? I'd like to get your perspective. So, Glenn, you're up north in farm country. I'm in the heart of Silicon Valley in tech, and Brian is out in Arizona, so I think we'll probably get 3 different perspectives on this question.
Yeah, go ahead and go first.
Interest rates. If you want. Interest rates and prices, right? I think inflation is crazy. People may have jobs, but they just can't afford anything right now. Right, when you go to stinking Five Guys, buy 2 burgers and 2 fries, and it comes out to $45 without a drink, that is ridiculous.
Oh, don't get me started. We had this conversation in our company Slack, and I literally said the same thing. Family of 4, 2 young kids, no drinks, 1 French fry. It was $85 to eat at Five Guys.
Yeah. That is ridiculous. Is that because now I'm paying $20 per hour for a fast food employee? Come on, guys. I just told myself that's the last time I go to a burger joint. So, yeah, no thank you. And from an economy standpoint, I think you're right. We people have jobs, but they're probably not getting paid. While they raised the minimum wage for these fast food employees, I didn't get a raise, and I know for a fact my food costs have gone up and my electric costs have gone up. Thank you, Governor Gavin Newsom. So, yeah, it's not any better.
What are we comparing it to? Like a decade ago or 4 years ago type of thing?
Call it 4 years.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm currently helping, I don't want to out anybody, but a young person, gross income like 120 grand in Arizona, which is a lot of money, and they're trying to figure out
a lot of money for a young person.
Yeah, and they're trying to figure out how to buy a house, and like you're doing great, but the reality is like you can't buy what you want, right? You want a $500,000 house, which you can afford, is a different story, and these houses are junk. Like I'm just like, man, you're better off staying in the apartment that you're at, or if you want to live in the ghetto, go for it. But again, like that's one aspect where I can remember.
Even in Arizona, $500,000 can just buy you a junk place in Arizona.
No, $500,000 is what they should buy. I don't think it's financially responsible for someone making 120 grand a year to buy a house that expensive.
I see what you mean.
Yeah. What they could afford is
mortgage rate.
Yeah. So what they could probably afford is somewhere around top end 320, maybe 350, pushing it. So there's that. I don't buy a whole lot of gas, but I do see gas prices just like. I remember comparing when I had my Raptor 35-gallon tank versus then versus now. And I remember getting the entire thing filled. I forget. I don't want to exaggerate. Let's call it $50, and then now it's like $150. I'm like, holy crap! Like if I had to drive all the time and had to pay that, I would sell my truck and buy a Prius because I can afford it.
And like then, Glenn.
Yeah.
I've got 2 of them.
Yeah, baby. And then groceries are insane. I can't
Yeah.
I used to joke and say I can't leave Costco without spending $500. Well, now I can't leave the regular grocery store without buying spending like $500. Like it gets expensive. And
Yeah, it's no joke.
and we're actually feeding less people now. Like, you know what I mean? Like I don't have as many children at home, which is insane. And I just and I always feel like a super old person. Like I walk through the store, I'm like, how the hell is peanut butter $3.29? It used to be 79 cents. And I remember this. And I'm like, and it's
Back
the
in my
generic.
day.
Yeah, I remember during COVID buying this Kroger honey peanut butter, so delicious, for 79 cents, maybe 99 cents if it was on sale, right? And now it's like $3.29. What the heck is this, crack prices? But it's like that through the entire store, and it's not just everything. And so what I've also noticed is when you walk through the store, you should probably only buy the stuff on the fringes and stay away from the stuff in the center of the aisles. But
Yeah, like the milk,
the
and
only
the
way,
eggs, and the bread.
yeah. But the only thing you can really, if you're trying to be affordable, if you walk all the aisles, that's where you'll come across the deals. But it's always something that's going to get you hooked on crack, right? It's like meth. It's like Fruity Pebbles, 5 boxes for $5. Like, hell yeah, this is a great deal. But it's just sugar, and you're gonna get addicted to it, and you'll end up paying $7.29 a box later on. But yeah, there's this crazy stuff out there. Yeah, I just don't see it. I remember thinking, $100 grand a year, you could live a great life, have a nice house, nice cars, have some disposable income, be able to travel, and maybe have 2 kids. I really believe that. And now, just kind of looking at it through the lens of a dad and little kid, my children, I really think that to live the life that we had, kind of that they had as they were growing up, is probably going to be 2 incomes of $500,000 a year to be able to afford the same type of lifestyle that we were given, 4 years ago.
But look at I think I listened to this. I heard this the other day. It's look at the price of gold. 1 ounce, back in the day, probably in the 80s, was $400.
A couple $100, yeah.
Yeah. Well, the same ounce today is almost $3 or $4 grand, right? So
yeah.
It's ridiculous. Same ounce, it's just gold. So if anything, you should have invested in gold or maybe Bitcoin.
Bitcoin.
Yeah, Bitcoin. Yeah, but it's
gold,
just ridiculous.
Gold is the ultimate inflation hedge, and even that it's crazy how much gold has gone up.
Yeah,
silver too. Their silver is $32 an ounce now. I remember not that long ago you could buy those 1 ounce Troy silver dollars from the mint for $4 to $8, but now it's $32.
Yeah, inflation is just out of whack. It's out of whack with reality. So yes, we may have low employment, but I don't think the wages of those people are matching of what inflation is or what the cost of goods are.
And even just I think it was a year ago, we were in the peak inflation, 9.9%, almost 10% inflation year over year, and I didn't get a 10% raise, just like you said. I didn't get a 10% raise, so I lost money. That year. It's deflationary because inflation is 10%. My raise was less than that. I'm losing money every year.
Yep. Dude, I was did you guys ever watch Gold Rush on, I forget, the TLC channel with
it's the History Channel? Jack Hoffman going down into the glory hole.
Yeah. Bro, that guy, they made some of the worst financial decisions of his life. And then, meanwhile, he had freaking Parker, the kid, was just blowing it out. Still is. I stopped watching. But I just remember back in the day, I think gold was between $800 to $900 an ounce. And then I remember when it was $1,200, I was like, dude, these guys are going to be balling out. And now it's $2,300, right? And there's probably peaks of the $3,000. That's just insane to think if these guys, and they horse traded everything in gold. They should have hold that gold, baby.
Hold
that. Hold.
I'm a responsible adult.
I can't believe you guys actually watched Gold Rush. That blows my mind.
I just know because the guy's name is Jack Hoffman, and they would go down into the glory hole to try to get some gold nuggets.
Bro, the craziest thing about that show is so there was the Hoffman group, and they struck out, and then one season they did well, and they said, what we're going to do? We're going to go down to the Congo, and we're going to show them how mining's done. because what's that stuff you would find in old televisions? It was like a liquid. It's super
mercury?
toxic. Mercury. So what they do in Gulu, Africa, right? As you're mining for gold, and they're throwing it through the chutes. I forget whatever the hell it's called. Like they're trying to sort it out. They'll use mercury and they'll put it on their hands and they'll sift back and forth in the mud, and that attracts the gold. The mercury attracts the gold. But also, every guy on there is tweaked the hell out. There's they're just shorting out because of the mercury poisoning.
Absorbs through the skin. Yeah.
Yeah, it's terrible and it's sad, right? That's the reality of how mining is done down there in the Congo.
That's where the phrase Mad Hatter came from. Was they used lead in hat manufacturing, and they all went crazy.
Yeah, so
I didn't know that.
The Hoffmans went to the Congo, and they're going to show you how the Americans do it. And they brought in, I'm talking trommels, all the stuff that works great in Alaska, and they pulled out 0 ounces. I think they dropped 3 million in this whole thing, a mining site and all that. And they're they had investors, right? They bought huge D9 tractors and whatnot. And the investors what'd you guys get me so far? They're no gold. We have some diamonds, and the diamonds were microscopic. He's this is an effing joke. Get the hell out of here. I can't.
The funny one was when the grandfather, the father would go, I feel it. I feel it. I know we're due. We're gonna get it. Yeah. And they're like, oh my god. And then they come out and they'd be like, wah wah wah, nothing. Meanwhile, the other guys were doing their exploratory searches and looking for gold, and did it scientifically, right?
Yeah.
And they're pulling out serious globs of gold out of the ground. You're like, well, yeah, because they didn't just go on a whim and say, hey, I feel it in this section. There's gold over here. Versus, let's go take some test runs.
There's a scientific method really of finding gold.
Yeah, exactly.
Bro,
yeah.
If you looked at an aerial shot in season 1 and season 2 of the quote-unquote glory hole that Jack Hoffman was I heard from God, it's right here. You're you look at it, you're you know that the river is completely diverted around this hole that you're digging in. There's no possibility that this river even went through here. It's you're just digging a hole out in the middle of nowhere. Meanwhile, you had Parker and people go out and they would drill cores and pull out and all right, there's X amount of gold here, there's none over there. We'll mine this, and they were just pulling it out left and right. Whatever. This is a podcast about tech.
Not gold.
Thanks for taking us up off topic. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I truly think it's the whole inflation thing, and with the unemployment numbers, we saw massive layoffs in tech. Google laid off their entire Python team. There's just layoffs left and right in tech, but the service industry. Just something anecdotally I've noticed is just the service industry is severely understaffed. You go into, I was at a kid's birthday party the other day, and this one person at this kid's birthday party, they were in charge of admitting people, getting them to sign the waiver, restocking things like napkins and plates, and making sure everyone was orderly and clean. One person just staffing this entire birthday party with 50 adults and 25 kids. And we've just seen this repeated across the entire economy. You go into McDonald's now, what do? You don't order at a cashier anymore. You order on a kiosk. You order off a computer. And you need to have fewer cashiers, and not just picking on McDonald's, but other fast food places too. You go in there, and it's order off the kiosk, and you can get your food right away, or wait in line behind 15 other people that are trying to talk to a human cashier.
Or better yet, don't go to McDonald's, because that is stupid.
Yeah, or all these companies that are pushing their apps now. If you order through the app, you get a free this or free that or a promotional this, because it's the cost of labor. The cost of labor is just outrageous, especially here in California. The new minimum wage laws for fast food workers, it's crazy. We've, like I told you, $85 to feed a family of 4 at Five Guys now.
That's ridiculous.
That's crack prices.
That is.
That's crack. So I, as much as I hate McDonald's, I did go because doing this whole carnivore thing. I was like, breakfast. I got 2 sandwiches or 2 for $5, right? And I was like, shoot, give me 4, man. I'm gonna eat like a king today. So it was $10 and change. Stupid. I hate McDonald's, right? Just despise it. I asked for no bun. They give me buns anyway. So I was like, screw you guys. So the next day, I was like, I'm gonna go to Jack in the Box and I'm gonna order the same thing. Guess how much that same order is at Jack in the Box?
$8.
Close. $36.
$36, that's not close.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? That's not close.
I was like,
Breakfast
yeah,
Jacks.
give me a couple of these, extreme sausage things. No muffins. I want 4. They're like, yeah, no problem. And then, I mean, they did make it right, but I'm not going to spend $36 again. I feel like it's
$9 each. That's fat. That's high for fast food.
Yeah.
It's the inflation, and then it's the cost of borrowing. So companies borrow money to buy software. People borrow money to buy houses. People rack up credit card debt. I think the average rate now for a credit card, if you're lucky, is like 21% APR, 28 if you have medium credit on that. And some of the economists say if you factor in the cost of borrowing into the inflation number, because we peaked at like 9.9% inflation, but if you factor in the cost of borrowing, we're at like 18 to 20% inflation, and it's just crazy. And you can see that throughout the economy, everything that we buy now. So you said McDonald's 2 for $5. Like, we don't have that here in California. Our cheapest sandwich here, like the McChicken, is like $3.70. We don't have that anymore. It's just so expensive now.
Can't even get a McRib. My goodness.
Can't even get the McRib.
You know what has come down is car prices, though. I think that we were a little bit in
Finally
there for a while.
Inventory, has come back.
So I would say yes, the car prices have gone down. Car insurance is insane, though, especially here in California. Like 25% year-over-year increases. Just no reason.
You don't even have driving kids yet, bro. What are you talking about?
I know. I'm dreading that. 2 adults. No history of accidents, no tickets, fairly old cars. Our newest car is 6 years old. 20% increases in car insurance rates.
So we
You went the wrong insurance company.
I've shopped it. Like, people said, go with Progressive, go with Tesla, go with this, go with that. I've shopped it. I'm still with the cheapest one, and they hit us with a 25% increase, and that's normal. I polled our company on the Slack channel, and they said, yeah, I see 20% too throughout the country.
Oh wow.
Yeah, we do I usually do like annually. I'll check around to see if I get the insurance a little cheaper. So we got driving kids and vehicles, and I always carry. I think you guys are the same as me. You carry comp and collision with state maximums, right?
Yeah.
Except for the older cars.
My wife's car, we don't have comprehensive anymore.
Okay, well maybe I should rethink that. But anyways, let's say it costs I don't know, like $900 a month or something like that for 4 drivers total. If I was willing to take it down to the state minimums, it would be $223 for all 4 vehicles.
Yeah, but then you gotta then you're on the hook for the rest of the amount, right? I mean,
oh yeah,
average price of a car now is probably like $7,500,000.
Yeah, especially the cars you drive.
And if the Kia boys ever come around and steal your daughter's car, like, you're hosed.
Well, then they probably find a way to not pay him anyway. So
pretty much, yeah. I mean, they said that the cost of medical coverage has gone up, so that's one component of it. The other is that used cars, the price has gone up so much that you just total a car now. Like, you get in a little fender bender, the car's totaled, they have to pay you out just because the cost of used car, the replacement cars, is just so high now.
Yeah, it's sick. It's maddening. It's really maddening.
Can you guys think of anything that's cheaper?
I'm having trouble, honestly. Bananas.
Eggs came back down, right?
Yeah, eggs came back down.
They peaked, and then
Still higher.
Price.
Like, I remember the 99 cent, even here in California where we have all those crazy laws about chickens and everything. I still remember I was able to get 99 cents a dozen at Walgreens when they were on sale. You cannot find a dozen eggs for 99 cents anymore.
Even ice costs more than a gallon of gas. Like, you go get a gallon of water, it costs more than a gallon of gas, right?
That's actually gone up too. Well, maybe not that high, but I remember it was, I think, $1.75 for like a 5-gallon jug, like if you refill them yourselves, and now it's $2.50.
Yeah. And the bad part is, the problem is, as these prices go up, I don't think there's ever been a retraction, right? No one goes, oh, look, we charge too much. Now we're going to have to lower prices to catch everybody up.
Did. They never went back to 99 cents a dozen, but I remember paying $7-8 a dozen. Now they're 4-ish. So those did come back down.
Chris will actually know what the hell I'm talking about, but I explain it the best I can. So SRP is Salt River Project. They do the utility here in Arizona. Well, at least in the metro area. They're not publicly traded, so I guess they're privately held. But I think they're run by the state or something like that. So every once in a while, if their cost of operations comes in below what they think it's going to be for the year, they cut you either a check at the end of the year, or like halfway through the year, they write you, like they write off your bill. They're like, you actually have a $250 statement credit on your utility bill, which I think is actually pretty cool. I still think that they're overcharging everyone, but it's kind of neat that they do that.
Same here with PG&E. Once a year we get this like climate credit. I don't know where it comes from. There's no free lunch, but you'll get a credit on your statement, but it's immediately gobbled up by your next month's bill, which is outrageously high.
I can't believe what you guys pay for energy. It's insane. And you guys are 100% renewable?
Yeah, for me at least, here in San Bruno, we do Peninsula Clean Energy. I think the power generation is relatively cheap. It's the utility, the PG&E, to deliver the power from where it is to my house. It's about 50 cents a kilowatt hour, which is outrageous.
Bro, 50 cents. Like, I don't know about all of our listeners, but like, double check your statement. Like in Arizona, like I pay 5.3 cents, and you're paying 50 cents. I can't do the math, but that's a lot more.
That's why I decided to go off grid, and I'm solar now.
How's that
Pays
going
for itself.
you?
Pays for itself every month. Like I have a payment at 7% interest. It's high, but it still, the money I save generating power through solar is always more than what I would have been paying for the power from the utility.
That's nuts. Insane.
What do you pay, Glenn? Do you know?
I only have 14 panels. I don't have the 50 panels that Chris does. So, but yeah, I think my true-up bill has been going up. Originally, my true-up bill was only a couple $100. Now I'm at like $3,000 a year. Yeah,
still $300 a month. That's still highway robbery.
Yeah.
All right. On that note, we continue to get great comments about our dad joke of the week.
Dad joke of the week.
This week, Glenn's up.
All right. So my niece has a cute little girl, 6 years old. She lined up all her dolls towards the outdoor grill. Looks like she's preparing for some kind of barbecue.
I was reading your lips on that one, bud.
Wah, wah, wah. All right, to wrap things up, Android is going to spy on you. Microsoft is going to spy on you.
Everyone's going to spy on you.
And the U.S. economy is weird right now. That's all I have for this week. We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Find us on LinkedIn. Links will be in the description. Follow us on Instagram at PEBCAK Podcast. Thank you to all listeners and subscribers who raised 5 stars in the iTunes Store and Spotify and left us a review. We appreciate you all spreading the word to help grow the show. The best way to find us is to search for the PEBCAK Podcast in your favorite podcast listening app. For my co-hosts Brian Deach and Glenn Medina, I'm Chris Louie. Thanks for listening. See y'all next weekend. As always, have a nice day.
Bye, Felicia.
Bye, Felicia.
Have a nice day.